Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Charles with Collector Tactical, and it's been a while. I know I've been busy, and we were off doing other things. But this is episode 17 of Tactical Tuesday Talks. It is Tuesday, slightly after 9 p.m. Tonight's episode is going to be on the Wolverine 5K that we just got back from. That was in Lake City, Michigan, at the Marksmanship Training Center. If you haven't been up there, if you haven't done any events up there, if you're local to this area, definitely worth getting up there. Great team of guys. Claire and his team put on an awesome event again. I will be returning every year for the Wolverine 5K, either as a competitor or as volunteer staff. Volunteer staff is still fun. It's still a great time. That's how I got into it, because I missed registration for the first year. This year, I'm lucky I got in. It filled up within 7 minutes. 7 minutes, and the registration was filled out. There is a limited amount of spots. They only have so many staff and facilities there, and they have to get everybody through in a day. So you're roughly from 09 is when ranges go hot, and the first teams are stepping off for their land nav portion. And then 1730, it's ranges are cold. So roughly 8.5 hours or so to get all this in. It's extensive. You can go to wolverine5k.com. I believe this is a website. You'll be able to, it'll pull up the right link, and I will link in the description as well below, as always. And you can see past events, future events, all the different signets, all your intel, all your everything you need to know, gear list, checklist, all that fun jazz. What I'm going to go over tonight is what I learned from actually competing in the event, what I brought, what I felt was necessary, what I felt was I didn't use, little tricks and trades as far as going into an event like this, and tell you what I was not prepared for and what I may or may not have actually been prepared for. So first thing that I did for myself was, once you registered and you get in, you get all of the information that you need as far as the mission brief, right? So you get your mission brief, but you don't get the full mission brief. They're good. They're tacky, but they're tactical about it. You only get a portion of it. So what I do is I just didn't have it prepared here. Is I take out, well, this is the intel report. So the intel report gives you the tap code, gives you finger of death alphabet, tap code, Morse code, which is going to be crucial. And one thing that we missed, because we can't read, and it was pretty clear that you had to do both of these to decrypt a message. We only did one of them because we weren't reading properly. We lost points there. And if you don't know, this is how the whole thing works. You get a map. It's an MGRS map of the area. You get your first plot point, and they tell you where you start, so that you have your start point, right? This is a 1 in 25,000 map, so if you don't know, you get pretty good detail. However, it's only a 5K total land nav, so your points, you have eight or nine points to get to, so they're all really close together. So it's very difficult to do terrain association when you're in a very tight area. It was a pretty nice loop, but some of these points were just in the thick of dense forest, so terrain association a little bit difficult. One thing I did have that I did not use, because that was recreation, was the compass. So I had a lens-set compass. It was a cheap one I bought off of Amazon. And I didn't really use it because I was recreation. You have two ways to join this. It was recreation or hardcore. Hardcore, no compass, compass only, no GPS. You had to go old school. Compass, map pens, terrain association, all that jazz. I wasn't feeling that. I haven't land nav in a long time, like old school land nav. I haven't done that since the Marine Corps, and I wasn't about to go get lost in the woods to practice. So I used an app called ATAK, ATAK. Again, I will link the description for that below. And it's a civilian use of what the military is currently using. A buddy of mine in the Marines, who's still in, reminding me of it. I did have it downloaded at one point, and then it was like, I don't have a use for this. I don't need it, so I deleted it. And then now I didn't have a new found reason for it. It is a great tool. Others can download it, and you can share map overlays. You can share grid points, and they can then plot points that will pop up in a shared map. So you can almost take off the whole, like I was designated, like I was doing the mapping. We were going to have a pace counter and all this other stuff, and then a guy that was just going to be scanning and looking for points. We didn't really need that because there was service enough, and if you don't know how your phone works with GPS, even if you have no cell service, your GPS will still work. It may not be as accurate, but it will still work because the GPS, it's like not fully based off of your actual provider, I guess. I'll have to dig more into the information on that, but have one just in case because phones die. Things happen. Have a compass just in case and learn how to use it. I forgot how to use it. Learn how to use your compass. You can see here that these maps were downloaded from CalTopo. I think US Topo is I think CalTopo is the one that I used, and I found a map of the area that I wanted to go to, and I can print it, and it prints to scale. So CalTopo is great to get maps for your local area, so you can practice land nav. You have to get the right scale. You have to get a protractor that has the correct scale and all this other stuff. But moving on from that, what did I use for gear? First off, for the 5K, you had to have a 25-pound pack. Now, my buddy Mike went like over the top and had an old Ilby that he got on the cheap and put it on an Alice frame. And he had the thing weighed down to like 40, 45 pounds. I was like, Mike, we're wrecked, dude. We only have to be 25. And he's like, he started ripping stuff out. He's like, I'm not going on this with 45. But my brother-in-law had a Nebully sock. I think it was a Little Trick. He had two. I can't remember. I think that's what it was. Not a huge pack. It didn't really have like the support system, like your kidney straps or hip straps, whatever you want to call them, like mine does. I have the Nebully stock half track, and this is the bad boy that I took. Super comfortable, and that's like the furthest I ever walked with this pack. This is like my go-to camping pack. I was at 30 some pounds, and in the first little bit, I had hot shoulders and hot hips, hot feet. I'm not used to walking like that anymore. So that was kind of expected. But after a while, when I remembered to cinch my straps down properly, this pack disappeared and it felt great. I could probably load it out a little bit differently. I think I can probably spread my load out a little different. I could easily throw 60 to 80 pounds in that pack and do that same course and be all right. I might drop my pack a little bit more often, but I could do it. Things I had in my pack, I made sure that whatever my weight was before weigh-in, before I adding any snacks and food, we definitely took little oranges, bananas, apples, granola bars, fig bars, waters. We did take all that. It was only 5K, but you didn't know how quickly that 5K could turn into a 10K if you get lost. And I tell you what, we finished in, I had it written down. I think we were just under 3 hours. We did have a late start by about 20, 30 minutes. So we had about 20, 30 minutes total of just like admin prep. So we really did the whole 5K in about 2.5 hours. The fastest rec team, obviously using GPS, was like just over an hour and 15 minutes. So we could have shaved half that time off. I did overthink it at the beginning, and I got called out for overthinking it. I was starting to plot points, shoot azimuths, and starting to mess with my compass. And his team came by, took a picture of the next point, and then plugged it into their GPS, and off they went. And I was like, I've got a GPS in my hand. Why am I stressing about it? And I just trusted the ATAC system, and it did not fail us. We made every point, and that was good. This event really made you think. It wasn't just a regular shooting event. If you've ever done any kind of competition event where here's your brief, here's your walkthrough, and then like within 5 minutes, you're shooting that course of fire, and then you're down, and then you move to the next one. This is completely different than that. So while you're on the orienteering course, there's tasks to do. Your fragos. At each one, you had objects you had to remember and identify, vehicles, enemy vehicles, the tap code, Morse code that had decrypted a message at the end. There was 2 other fragos that we happened to fall on one. And if you don't know what a frago is, I'm sorry, it's a fragmentation order. It's just a small portion of an order. It's a mini side mission. So there was a couple that we just spotted and got lucky. And then I looked at the actual route card, or our frago card. I'm sorry. And it actually had the grid coordinates for these fragos that I could have plugged in, navigated to, and got those extra points. The points meaning your 5K time. So ours was 2 hours, almost 3 hours. So that's our start time. And every point you get is a minute off of that time. I'm trying to go negative, just like in golf, right? So that sets our par time. We ended up going and finishing with a score of 69. So we were positive a little bit, and we weren't the last team. We were like 4th or 5th from the bottom. That was our first time. We really were taking our time. We probably could have squeezed in 1 or 2 more shooting events. And probably would have done better on the shooting events if this guy right here didn't screw up the first one and just set the pace for the whole day. So make sure if you're going to do events like this, that you really test and tune your gear and don't just go, I'm confident, I know what I'm doing, because that's what I did. Yeah. And then I found out real quick that I don't know my holds for my EOTech 512 at 50 yards for some reason. Yeah. And I am not ashamed to admit it. I dumped about at least 20 rounds into a target with no impacts before I realized I was using the wrong aim point. I was aiming up high at the bottom tick mark instead of the top tick mark. Because after I figured that out, I hit my 12.5 all the way out to 200 yards with a couple of shots that I had to walk it on because it's 12.5. The grip size is not that big, and I was shooting half-size ISPIC targets. So, that's pretty good. I still hit a target at 200 yards after I figured out my sneaking holds. So make sure you know that stuff. If you don't have a range that you can shoot out to varying distances, find one and don't guess. Actually go out and confirm. Don't do what I did. You'll make your team very happy. For this event, I did run the Tacticon chest rig. This is the version 1, I think. So I did run this with their FUPA pouch underneath. I was very happy with this. I did keep all of my Ear Pro, my admin stuff in the top here, as well as my range cards. So I had all of these right behind me. I had these range cards with the ranging brief. I don't know where all the rest of them went. There's somewhere floating around in one of my packs, but I had laminated small card that's fit in here that I could do all the range brief. Because with this event, what they did differently, the RSOs were just going to ask you if you understand the course of fire. They are not going to fully brief you on the course of fire. The only ones that they fully briefed you about the course of fire was a vehicle borne and a shoot house. Those are the only 2 because they need to be very specific and reiterate some safety concerns that they had. Other than that, you showed up. Do you understand? Yep. You got any questions? Yes or no? Cool. And then you get on the line and you shoot the event. So it's up to you to understand the brief. That would add an extra level of challenge an extra level of difficulty and challenge to the event. And I did appreciate that. It really made you think. There's a lot of the events there that you weren't just shooting like a dumb, shoot the brown, don't shoot the white. If you do competition shooting, you know that's not, you know what I mean. So that sounds really bad if you don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it made you think. You could just go out there and just shoot mindlessly, and which was really cool. This did work out well. I did like the chest rig. Next year, I'm running full plate carrier with plates. I'm not going to run this. Couple of downsides to this so I can fix really easily is that this little thing right here lined up perfectly with my nips and rub this nip a little raw. That came in handy with the 5K though, because I took my mags out and held my phone and I was able to prop it up so I can look at my GPS. Next year I'm going to come up with a different system. I'm going to have a placard that I'm going to put my phone in and I'll be able to flip down and see everything. I will also have maps I'm going to always take those just in case. Battle belt. Same old battle belt that you've probably seen me use before. This is the Core Essentials B1 battle belt. I haven't changed much other than I added my knife to it. I need to shift everything back a little bit and make these tighter. Make all these mag cures and everything a little bit tighter. I did do somewhat of a woodland camo M81-ish style holster that I tried out. It worked out good for me. Obviously, since I make holsters, I had to do that. Did not need the radio. However, they do have an emergency band, so if you are out in the woods and you do get lost, they do have that, so you can communicate back to say, come help me, I'm lost. As well as just if they broadcast any emergencies for any reason. That's why I had that. Never used it. Will I say that you shouldn't take one? No, take one just in case. But I really didn't use it. And a lot of the stages, you weren't doing too many reloads from the belts. It was mainly dropping mags and putting a new one in. You weren't doing any tack reloads. You weren't storing anything. Round counts were relatively low per stage. There was some that had like maybe 50 rounds per the stage, but most of them were much less than that. Some were pistol only, some were carbine only, and some were mix of both. And there was they were good. They were challenging this year. I tell you what, it was like a CrossFit workout with shooting involved. Well, I take that back. CrossFit's dumb. It's a HIIT workout. If you don't know what HIIT is, it's high intensity tactical training. That's what that was shooting in between. I was not prepared for that. I should have done a little bit more preparation because I wasn't ready. I'm not going to lie to you. We sat down and we're like, we're not going to do some of these because we're going to get broke. But next year we're going to. Next year for sure we're going to go out and we're going to do all the shooting events. As many as we can, because you're not going to get through all of them. So you've got whatever you set your time at for your 5K, and when you step off. We stepped off at 09:45. So we had about 45 minutes to prep and get ready after the ranges went hot. So we could have squeezed one in if we got in first because there wasn't any lines, because it was like an amusement park for shooting events. You had 10 shooting events essentially that you would just get in line and wait. Some of them took longer to reset because they had some tannerite involved. There was some elaborate stuff that they had to set up, especially with the long range one. There, you had to drive out and reset the new tannerite if you were to hit it. So it kind of had a lot of downtime in that aspect, but we took our downtime as, let's do the fragos that they had laying all over the place that were fun, that we knew we could do to get points off. And I think that's why we were able to do only 3 shooting events and still get a score of 69. We probably could have got a lower score doing more shooting events, and maybe completing some of the other fragos that were worth a lot of points. So very much the time management and planning everything and planning your day. If you're rec, you're not winning for the big prize, but they still award prizes for, placing teams. But if you don't want to be too competitive about it, then you can just kind of relax and hang out. But remember, you're paying to play, so you might as well play as much as you can. Get out and shoot as many of those things as you can. And if you don't do well on them, at least you tried, and you have a goal to train and get ready for next year. And you can't train for this event in the way you think you can, because every year is different. It's going to be changed, completely different stuff. It might bring certain stages that are similar back. Other than that, it's a different game every time. So the only thing you can really train and practice for that you guarantee you that you're going to be better and more proficient every year at is land nav. Right? Can train land nav as much as you can, because that's the only thing that's not going to change with this thing. Obviously the points are going to change, but that skill is going to be, you can train for that. I had a thought too, and I should have taken notes, and I just lost my thought. Pretty cool. Oh, that's what it is. If you missed the summer one, guess what? You can go back in the winter. In January, they're going to have the Wolverine Winter Skirmish. So they're going to have a winter version of this 5K. What was said at the brief before we left last time, the only difference really is going to be, well, two depending, but one main difference is they're going to give you all your points first. So you can plot all your points, and then you can go out and navigate them in whichever order you feel is going to be the most efficient for you. Which is different because this one, it was like there was a planned route and you had to go in a certain order to get to the next checkpoint, because each checkpoint you got to gave you the coordinates for the next checkpoint. So this one will be a little bit different. Probably going to have a little bit more time from when you start off, once you get your points, because you're going to have to prep all of your points. If you're a wreck and you're just plugging them into like ATAC or a GPS, you can pre-record all of your points. What I like about ATAC over like the Garmin systems, I've never used the Garmin's, but those ones are going to be like point-to-point based, if I'm not mistaken. They don't really give you like a map, like a full-on. There's probably some systems that do, so I could be wrong. But ATAC gives me like a pretty decent map. I can plot all my points and I can identify them with different colors if I want. So first, second, third, however I want to hit them. It's I like that system. If the other GPSs are like that, then great. Those are fabulous. Having just like the watch, you plug in a coordinate and it just kind of gives you an arrow to walk to. You're only going to go point to point with those. So make sure you still plot your points on a map so you see if you're going to the closest point first, or plan your route accordingly. Definitely bring enough ammo. Even if you're not going to get through all the shooting events, bring enough ammo just in case. They'll tell you how much ammo. Usually it was like it was 150, 200 pistol and up to 300 rifle. PRS stuff. We had one team member with a PRS rifle. I would bring as many as, if every team member has got a PRS, have every member bring their PRS. There was one stage that we kind of shared the rifle. And someone's rifle might be multi-user, more friendly, if that makes sense. There's certain rifles that are like, no, I know my gun. And it's going to be hard for me to teach you how to shoot my gun because I know how it shoots, versus like, oh, I've got a pretty generic run-of-the-mill PRS guns that just about anybody can get behind and shoot. It's a lot easier. Moon Goose Snipe said, winner will be fixed time for land nav, most points found plus. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that too. That it's going to be the opposite scoring. Someone in the comments that's Mongoose Snipe just reminded me that it's going to be reverse scoring. So instead of it being the lowest score for the winner one, it's going to be the highest score. So whoever gets the most points within the fixed amount of time for land nav is going to win, right? And then also the ranges will change. He said that the ranges will be based off of whether or not there's snow or not snow, or 2 feet of snow or 2 inches of snow. So if you got snowshoes and snow boots, bring them. And here's the other thing. It's going to be hard to train for this one because it may not have snowed before, but take those winter boots you get on. I don't care if it's still hot out. Go put those suckers on and go try to shoot and move with them. Because if you have not done that, if you're a hunter, you know what I mean. It's different trucking through snow, but put those snow boots on, get that snow gear out even when it's still warm or just chilly, and practice with that gear. Because this is an event you don't want to find out if your gear is falling apart and not working. I would say you could test gear here. I wouldn't recommend it. Or at least if you do, bring extras. Bring extra of a lot of stuff. I have an entire bag that I brought. It was my old range bag, and it's literally just a tool bag now. It's got extra triggers, extra pins, extra springs, oops kits, armorist tools, extra buffers, springs, lube, cleaning kit, lens wad, everything I could possibly think of. I might even next year I'm gonna put a sewing kit in there for in case any of your gear, like your fabric gear, rips and tears. Because some of these obstacles they're pretty rough on gear. I noticed that my inner belt got shredded up, and I think that's just probably me. But tape and 550 quarter are going to be your friend. Always put that in there. You definitely are going to want to have oops kits, repair kits, and somebody on the team that knows what they're doing to do that stuff. If you yell out help, I need someone that knows how to fix this, I guarantee you there is somebody there that'll help. If I'm there, more likely I will be. You can call it to me. I can help you out. I've got an extensive background in repairing things on the fly. So, what was the other thing? Magazines. If you've got the money and you have, because you get all, let me see if I can find these things because I'm sitting there talking about it. Where I have them somewhere. Unless they fell out. I don't know where I put them. But anyway, there. Oh, there's one. All right, so here is, this was the, what is the Wolverine? This is the stage that I messed up. It'll tell you carbine 50 rounds minimum per team, and the precision rifle 10 rounds maximum per team. So they tell you how many rounds you need for the stage. Some of them are kind of vague and they'll be blacked out, and you kind of have to get there. So I would recommend bringing your cart. If you've done if you've done any type of shooting sports, you bring a cart to bring with you with your ammo and all your other stuff, so you're not going back to your home base. I had a big canopy tent. We went back for our home base so we can take our gear off, we can relax, get some water and snacks, and go through your gear real quick, maintain your rifle if you need to. But I'm bringing a cart next year that's going to have everything loaded out, for sure. That's going in the gear kit list. But you have your round counts. So what can you do from that? You can just start buying magazines now, because it's never a bad idea to have too many magazines. Well, you can't have too many magazines. But bring good magazines, because I brought some of these. No, I got to get new ones. These are old. This is a K. I've got some Colts and I've got some Knights. They're not that reliable. I kind of mainly use those just to store the ammo, because get reliable mags, get your P mags, get your hex, whatever. Just get good reliable mags. But if you have the funds, bring enough mags to preload every stage and label those mags for that stage, so you can just go and boom and grab them and go to your stage. It'll really reduce your wait time in getting ready for that. Like I said, most of the time the round count's pretty low. If you're bringing your ammo cans and empty mags up to the stage, you're like, hey, what's the round count? 2 of 20, and then 2 of 5, whatever it is. You can jam those out pretty quick, right? But it will save you a lot of time if you can just afford to have all your mags ready to go. Make sure you do hydrate. It was hot this year, and there's a lot of these stages that we were just standing out in the middle of the sun with no shade, waiting, because if you left, you lost your spot in line. So make sure you bring enough hydration. They supply a lot of waters and Gatorades and apples, bananas, a lot of stuff to keep you going. Stretch beforehand. I didn't do that. I should have stretched. Me and my buddy Mike said we should have stretched. We were pretty. Didn't even feel like we did that much. We were pretty sore for the next day and a half. Might still be sore. I don't know, not really. Really, next year's going to be different. So really, just make sure you check the gear list. Bring what's on the gear list if you can. Bring some extra stuff. You're going to have time to kind of filter through. Get there early, so that way you can kind of get an idea of hey, this guy's maybe using this. Talk to people, and hey, I got this. This is my first time. Have you done this before? Is this going to be good or not? These guys are going to help you out. Don't be afraid to approach anybody at this event and ask questions at any capacity. But that's about really all I could think of to say that's how it went. Be prepared. Make sure you train. Make sure you know your gear. Time management is going to be huge for this. Next year might have a twist. I'm not going to even mention it because it's not set in stone yet. So I don't know if it's going to happen. But if it does, all I can say is make sure you bring dry bags. You're going to want them. So an extra pair of socks or boots, because you're going to probably need them. That's really about it. I mean, there's nothing else that I took. Now, there are some of the shooting events that maybe there was some gear that I didn't utilize that I would have brought. Like I said, there's 10 shooting events. We got through 3. Really just pick whatever you're going to do. If you're rec, you can do a chest rig. It's lighter. It's faster. You have to add this patch to the patch wall. So we'll put it right next to last year's. Oh, put it the right way. Boom. So now we've got the patch added to the patch wall, and then it's going to keep growing bigger and bigger. I actually have some other patches, MTC patches and some MDT patches that I got. I'm going to fill up some of that space as well. Other little tips I got for the 5K and what I think we could have done better. What we could have done better is we could have practiced more as a team. It's difficult to do. Everybody's got, their own lives, their own families and jobs and stuff. So it's hard to get everybody together to train for this. I think it's important to do so that you know how everybody works together. So you know their strengths and their weaknesses. That would have been very helpful. And not to say that we did horrible at it, but because I know all of them, and we all came from military background. So really for us we jived really quick and easy. It's no big deal. But trying to figure out what everybody's strengths and weaknesses are when you haven't trained with them, so you can plan, hey, let's do these events first because we as a team, we're good. We're going to rock these ones and get them knocked out. But we might struggle with these ones. Let's save them for last. Individually, we can say that about certain events, but not as a team because we've never done it together. There was one where we had to lift a log and hold it on our shoulder, and then you had to lift the log up, let a team member out, and they would shoot into their drill, and they come back to let them back in. You have to lift the log and set it back down. You're holding in your shoulder. It's not too bad, but I'm 6'2", and the other guys were all like 5'5" and under. So that would have been a challenging event for some of us because of how lopsided. And we were a 3-man team, not a 4-man team. So that might have been a challenging event, really. There was some other ones with buddy carries and stuff. Now, since we were recreation has different rules as far as what you do per thing. So you got to think, a lot of these courses of fire are set up like you're hardcore. You have to do everything that it says. Rec, you have the option to do it a little bit easier because you're doing it recreationally. You're not hardcore. You still can do it hardcore rules, but you're not required to. If the hardcore guys don't, then they get penalized. So, and they could potentially move their entire team out of the hardcore list, standings, and they'll be wrecked the rest of the time. They'll just wreck them. And that would suck to sit there and go the whole day being hardcore, competing for the hardcore prize, and then mess up and get knocked down to wreck. You still get, like I said, you still get some stuff, but whatever. You want there to be hardcore. One of these days, one of these years, we'll do hardcore. I'm trying to pull notes out of my head because, again, I'm horrible at taking notes, right? I don't do that. But overall, great event. It's fun. I can't tell you how to train for it because just get good at shooting, know your gear, and work as a team. And that's really, really about it. You're going to do fine. And have the will and the energy to be there, and you'll be fine. Winter one, hey, bring warm socks and gloves. I'm gonna work on being there. Once they release the date for it, I am gonna do my best. If I'm not going to compete in it, I will be RSOing. I will be volunteering for the winter one. You will see me twice a year at MTC, and you'll see me more often there because I'm going to start taking some of my classes there. Also, I enjoy the training staff there, and I like their mission. I like their ethos. I like everything about that place. And it is a 2.5-hour drive, but it is worth it. I was asked that question. Why would you get a membership at a place that's so far away when you got ranges that are closer? Because the ranges that are closer to me, they're only about half the distance, and I can do about half the stuff. Actually, less than half the stuff. I can only shoot out to 300 yards. I have maybe about the same shooting bays. I have restrictions on how I can set up the bays. They're not set up to be do whatever you want in a sense. I can't shoot 1,300 yards, to known distance, unknown distance targets, because they have both unknown and known distance. So that way, once I get that right there, that Savage 6.5 rebarreled and restocked, that is going to be my 1,000-yard plus gun. Mainly because I don't think that 308 is going to do it, but I am going to try. I will see what that Arrow Precision, once I get her broken in and her issues fixed, then that could be a 1,000-yard gun with the right ammo, and I will be reaching out to Delta Co. Munitions to get that right ammo. I don't know if he's doing 308 or 6.5 yet, but I'm gonna bug him until he does, because I'm gonna need some. We will catch you guys at another episode. If we do a T3 next week, we will let you know. If we do another podcast episode of 2A Talks, we will also let you know. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, topic ideas, anything like that, feel free to drop it in the comments of this video or send us a direct message, and we would love to talk about your ideas. And if you want to come on and talk with us about it, let us know. Outside of that, everybody, you have a safe night. Carry on. Catch you next time.